The emergency alarms blared through Earth Command Center. Red lights flashed on screens across the main control room. Colonel Dae-ho Kim rubbed his tired eyes as he watched another dot disappear from the large map. "Sir, we just lost contact with Defense Station 7, said the young officer at the communications desk. Dae-ho nodded. It was the third station to go dark in the past hour. Any distress signals? Just static, then nothing. Same as the others. Dae-ho walked to the window overlooking the sprawling military base. The sky was clear blue, a perfect day on Earth. Hard to believe that up there, beyond the calm atmosphere, humanity was losing a war. His tablet buzzed. A message from the Mars colony flashed on screen. Under ATTCK. Unknown vessels. Need immediate support. Before he could respond, more messages flooded in from colonies on Europa, Titan, and the outer settlements, all saying the same thing. They were being attacked by something unknown and unstoppable. "Colonel, Admiral Sungbo requests your presence in the war room," said his assistant. The war room was filled with Earth's top military leaders. Their faces showed worry and fear. Large screens displayed footage from space cameras. Dark, organic-looking ships moved in perfect formation, surrounding human outposts. "The void's warm," said Admiral Sungbo, pointing at the strange vessels. "That's what the survivors from Ganymede called them before we lost contact." "What do they want?" asked Dae-ho. "To wipe us out, it seems," replied the admiral. "Our weapons barely damage their ships. They move like a single mind." A woman in a lab coat stood up. "They're attacking in a pattern. They take each station, absorb its technology, then move to the next. They're working their way to Earth." Dae-ho recognized her immediately. "Dr. Minji Park, I didn't know you were back from the frontier." "I was recalled yesterday," she said. "All scientists working on special projects were." The room fell silent as new footage appeared on screen. A colony on Titan was surrounded by the alien ships. Bright flashes of human weapons fire did nothing to stop them. The feed cut to static. "How long do we have?" asked Dae-ho. 3 days, maybe 4, before they reach Earth orbit," said the admiral. "We're gathering all remaining ships for a last stand." After the meeting, Dae-ho found Minji in the hallway. "It's been 3 years," he said. "I thought you were still working on that classified project at the edge of our space." Minji looked around to make sure no one was listening. "That's why I'm here, Dae-ho. My research team found something on LV-731, something that might help us fight back." "What did you find?" "Not here," she whispered. "But let's just say we discovered a life form that might be our only chance." Her eyes showed a mix of hope and worry. "Meet me in Lab 12 after your shift." Before Dae-ho could ask more questions, the emergency alert sounded again. His tablet showed a new message. The void swarm had destroyed the Jupiter orbital defenses. They were moving faster than expected. In his office, Dae-ho watched the latest battle footage. Human ships fired everything they had at the alien vessels. Nothing worked. The void-swarm ships moved like a swarm of insects, surrounding their targets before tearing them apart. Humanity was being pushed back to Earth, their home world. Colonies built over decades were falling in hours. Dae-ho thought about Minji's words. What had she found on that distant planet? What kind of life form could possibly help against an enemy that seemed unstoppable? As night fell over Earth Command, Dae-ho made his way to Lab 12. Whatever Minji had discovered, he hoped it would be enough. Because right now, hope was in short supply, and time was running out. Earth was being cornered, and cornered species sometimes make desperate choices. Lab 12 was hidden deep underground. Dae-ho showed his security badge to 3 different guards before reaching the final door. Inside, he found Minji studying data on multiple screens. "You came," she said without looking up. "Your message sounded important," replied Dae-ho. "And we're running out of options." Minji turned off the main screen and faced him. "What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. Only 5 people on Earth know about this project." She led him to a sealed door at the back of the lab. After a retina scan, the door slid open. Inside was a small room with a single screen. 4 years ago, my team was sent to explore LV-731. Minji explained. We were looking for new resources, but we found something else. She pressed a button, and the screen showed footage of a dark cave. Something moved in the shadows, something fast and large. What am I looking at? Asked Daho. We called them spider wolves, said Minji. The video showed a clearer image. The creature had the body shape of a wolf, but with 8 limbs instead of 4. Its fur was black with red stripes, and multiple eyes glowed in the darkness. They hunt in packs, communicate through some kind of telepathy, and can climb any surface, Minji continued. Their venom can paralyze creatures 10 times their size. Daho stared at the screen. And you think these creatures can help us against the Void Swarm? Not just the creatures themselves, said Minji. What we learned from them. Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert. All officers were called to the main command center. The command center was chaos. Reports came in from all remaining space defenses. The Void Swarm had arrived at Mars faster than expected and destroyed the human fleet there. Admiral Sungo stood at the center of the room. Earth's combined fleet will take position here, he said, pointing to a spot between the moon and Earth. It's our last line of defense. A tall man in a pilot's uniform spoke up. Sir, with all respect, a traditional defense won't work. We need something new. Daho recognized him as Captain Jiwan Lee, one of Earth's best pilots. His family had been stationed on Titan when it fell. What do you suggest, Captain? Asked the Admiral. Hit them where they don't expect, said Jiwan. Small, fast attack teams. The Admiral shook his head. We tried that at Jupiter. We lost everyone. Minji stepped forward. What if we had something the Void Swarm has never encountered before? Something unpredictable. The room went quiet. Dr. Park, this is not the time for science experiments, said the Admiral. It's not an experiment, she replied. It's Project Arachne. The Admiral's face changed. He looked at Minji, then at Daho. Colonel Kim, Dr. Park, meet me in my office. Later, in the Admiral's office, Sumgo closed the door and turned to them. Project Arachne was supposed to be a last resort. We are at our last resort, said Daho. The Admiral sighed heavily. The spider wolves are dangerous and unpredictable. We don't fully control them. But they might be effective against the Void Swarm, said Minji. Their biology and hunting methods are unlike anything the aliens have encountered. Where are they kept? Asked Daho. Deep Space Research Station Omega, replied the Admiral. Far from any colony. For safety. We need to go there, said Minji. Now. The Admiral looked out his window at the sky. The path to Omega is dangerous. The Void Swarm controls most space lanes now. I'll volunteer to lead the mission, said Daho. The door opened, and Captain Jiwan walked in. I'll fly the ship, he said. I heard everything. And I want payback for my family. The Admiral looked at them all. This is a desperate move. We are desperate, replied Minji. Very well, said the Admiral. Operation Arachne is approved. You leave in 6 hours. As they prepared to depart, Daho looked at Earth from the launch bay window. Would he ever see it again? And was he about to unleash something even more dangerous than the aliens? Time would tell. But one thing was certain. Humanity needed a miracle to survive. The ship was small but fast. Captain Jiwan Lee had chosen it himself, a stealth vessel designed to slip past enemy sensors. Daho, Minji, and a small team of soldiers sat quietly as Jiwan navigated through the debris of destroyed space stations. 4 hours to Research Station Omega, Jiwan announced. His face showed no emotion, but his knuckles were white as he gripped the controls. Minji turned to Daho. You should know more about what we're getting into, she said quietly. The spider wolves weren't just discovered. They were created. Daeho looked surprised. What do you mean? 5 years ago, we found an exotic life form on LV-731, a type of wolf-like predator with unique abilities. At the same time, we discovered alien spider DNA in caverns beneath the surface. Minji pulled up images on her tablet. Dr. Hannah Choi led the project. She combined the DNA to create something new. The spider wolves were born. We made them? Daeho asked, his voice low. Isn't that against every scientific rule? Desperate times, Minji replied. Hannah saw potential in creating a new predator species, one that could be used if humanity ever faced extinction. Their conversation ended as the ship suddenly dropped in speed. Jiwan pointed to the radar. Void's Worm patrol ahead. Everyone stay quiet. The minutes passed slowly as they drifted with minimal power. The alien ships moved past them, searching for larger targets. When they were gone, everyone breathed again. 2 more hours, said Jiwan, increasing speed again. Daeho studied the information on Minji's tablet. The spider wolves had been engineered to be smarter than normal animals. They could climb walls, spin webbing strong enough to trap large prey, and communicate with each other over long distances. How do we control them? He asked. Minji looked uncomfortable. That's the complicated part. Dr. Choi created a neural link system. A human handler connects mentally with a spider wolf. That sounds dangerous. It is, she admitted. The early tests had problems. The animals are strong-willed. Some handlers couldn't handle the mental strain. Before Daeho could ask more questions, Jiwan called out, "We're here." Research Station Omega floated in the darkness of deep space, far from any star system. It was designed to look abandoned, a perfect hiding place for dangerous research. After docking, they were met by a small woman with intense eyes and short hair. She wore a lab coat with the name Dr. Hannah Choi on the badge. "You must be desperate to come all this way," she said without greeting. "The Void's Worm is that bad." "Earth will fall within days," said Daeho. Hannah nodded. "Then follow me. It's time you met my children." She led them through the station to a reinforced door. Beyond it was a massive habitat area. Trees, rocks, and artificial caves filled the space, and moving through the shadows were dark shapes with glowing eyes. "Stay behind the safety line," warned Hannah. "They're curious about new people." A large creature approached the glass. It moved like a wolf but had 8 legs that ended in sharp claws. Its body was covered in dark fur with red patterns. Multiple eyes studied them with clear intelligence. "This is Alpha One," said Hannah, "the first successful spider wolf." "How many do you have?" asked Daeho. 20 adults, plus 10 juveniles, replied Hannah. "Each one can take down prey 5 times its size." Jiwan stepped closer to the glass. The spider wolf focused on him, tilting its head. "Can they really help us fight the Void's Worm?" "They can," said Hannah. "But there's a price." "What price?" asked Daeho. "To use them effectively, we need humans willing to neural link with them," Hannah explained. "The link is permanent and dangerous." Jiwan placed his hand on the glass. The spider wolf did the same with a clawed limb. "I'll do it," said Jiwan. "I have nothing left to lose." Hannah looked at him with sad eyes. "Everyone has something to lose, Captain, even if you don't realize it yet." The neural link room was cold and filled with medical equipment. Jiwan lay on a table with sensors attached to his head. Across the room, Alpha One was secured in a special chamber, watching him with intelligent eyes. "The process cannot be reversed," Dr. Hannah warned one last time. "Are you certain?" Jiwan nodded. "Do it." Hannah pressed a series of buttons on her control panel. A blue light surrounded both Jiwan and the spider wolf. Jiwan's body tensed, his back arching as pain shot through him. Daeho and Minji watched from behind a safety window. "Is this normal?" asked Daeho with concern. "The neural link is extremely painful," Minji explained. "The human brain must adapt to share thoughts with another species." Inside the room, Juan screamed. Alpha 1 made a strange howling sound at the same time. The blue light grew brighter, connecting them like a bridge. Then, suddenly, both went silent. The light faded. Juan sat up slowly, his eyes wide. He looked at the spider wolf, who stared back at him. "I can feel him," Juan whispered. "In my mind." Hannah checked her readings. "The link is strong. Better than any previous attempt." "He's curious," continued Juan, "and hungry. He wants to hunt." "He?" asked Minji. "Yes," said Juan. "He thinks of himself as male, and he wants a name." Juan looked at the spider wolf again. "Ghost. He likes the name Ghost." Over the next 2 days, more soldiers volunteered for the neural link process. Some succeeded, forming bonds with spider wolves. Others failed, their minds unable to handle the strain. Juan and Ghost grew closer every hour. They trained together in a large practice area. Ghost could climb walls, leap incredible distances, and spin strong webs that could trap or entangle. "The link gets stronger with time," Hannah explained to Daho as they watched. "Soon they will act as one." Daho noticed something strange. Juan moves differently now. Hannah nodded. The link works both ways. Ghost is becoming more human in his thinking, and Juan is becoming more like a predator. In another section of the station, Minji studied samples from the spider wolves. She called everyone to her lab with excitement. "I found something important," she said. "The spider wolves produce a toxin in their fangs. This toxin breaks down the cellular structure of the Void's worm ships." "The ships are alive?" asked Daho with surprise. "Semi-organic," replied Minji. "The Void's worm builds living ships, and the spider wolves were engineered to hunt organisms similar to them." "Was that planned?" Daho looked at Hannah. "Yes," admitted Hannah. "I suspected something like the Void's worm might exist. The spider wolves were designed as a countermeasure." Juan entered the lab with Ghost walking beside him. The other humans stepped back nervously, but Juan simply placed his hand on Ghost's head. "He understands our mission," said Juan. "All the spider wolves do. They're ready for a test." "A test?" asked Daho. "We need to know if they can fight the Void's worm in real conditions," said Juan. "Ghost wants to hunt, and I know the perfect target." He showed them a map of nearby space. A small Void's worm scout ship was patrolling alone, separated from the main fleet. "One ship," said Juan. "Ghost and I can take it. Prove this will work." Daho looked unsure. "It's risky." "We're running out of time," replied Juan. "Earth needs to know if this plan will work." "I'll go with you," Daho decided. "We take one ship, one spider wolf. Quick in and out." As they prepared for the mission, Hannah took Minji aside. "Watch Juan carefully," she whispered. "The bond with Ghost is stronger than normal. There's a danger he might lose himself." "Lose himself how?" asked Minji. Hannah's face was grim. "The spider wolves are apex predators. Their instincts are powerful. In a strong bond, those instincts can overwhelm the human mind." "What happens then?" "Then we get something new," said Hannah. "Neither human nor spider wolf. Something in between." The small stealth ship moved quietly through space. Daho piloted, while Juan sat in the back with Ghost. The spider wolf was secured with special restraints that would release when they reached their target. "5 minutes to contact," said Daho. "The Void's worm scout is just ahead." Juan nodded. His eyes had a strange glow to them, similar to Ghost's. "We're ready." Through the front window, they could see the alien vessel. It looked like a dark purple star with long arms that pulsed with strange light. Its surface moved as if alive. "Remember the plan," said Daho. "We attach to their hull. You and Ghost enter, place the tracking device, and get out. No fighting unless necessary." "Ghost wants to hunt," said Juan quietly. "He can smell them through the ship's hull." "Smell them? In space?" Daho looked confused. Not smell exactly. Sense. The void swarm gives off some kind of energy. Ghost can feel it. The stealth ship approached the alien vessel from below. With a soft thud, they attached to the hull. Daho activated the cutting tools that would create an entrance. Pressure seal established. We have 30 minutes of air. Go. Juwan released Ghost from his restraints. The spider wolf moved to the airlock, his 8 legs clicking on the metal floor. Juwan followed, wearing a light spacesuit modified to allow quick movement. They entered the alien ship through the cut hole. Inside, it was dark and humid. The walls pulsed with the same strange light they had seen from outside. "It's all organic," whispered Juwan, touching the wall. "Like being inside a giant body." Ghost moved ahead, his multiple eyes allowing him to see in the darkness. Juwan followed, connected to the spider wolf's senses through their link. They moved deeper into the ship, following a path that seemed to lead to the center. Suddenly, Ghost froze. Ahead, 3 void swarm creatures floated in a large chamber. They looked like tall, thin humanoids with no faces, just swirling darkness where heads should be. "They're connected to the ship," Juwan said through his comm to Dao. "They're part of it." Ghost growled low, his body tensing to attack. "No," Juwan whispered to him. "Not yet. Place the tracker first." But it was too late. The void swarm creatures sensed them. They turned as one, their bodies changing shape, growing long blade-like arms. "We've been spotted," Juwan reported. "Going to Plan B." "Get out of there," ordered Daho. "Now." Ghost launched forward with incredible speed. He jumped onto the ceiling, then down onto the first alien. His fangs sank deep into the creature's body. The alien made no sound but began to dissolve where Ghost's venom entered it. The other 2 aliens attacked Juwan. He dodged with new reflexes he had gained from his link with Ghost. He placed a small device on the wall, the tracker they had come to plant. Ghost finished the first alien and leaped toward the second. He spun a strong web that wrapped around the creature, trapping it. The third alien slashed at Juwan, cutting his arm. Blood floated in the low gravity. Through their link, Ghost felt Juwan's pain. The spider wolf let out a howl that echoed through the ship. He abandoned the trapped alien and attacked the one that had hurt Juwan. His fangs tore into the creature, injecting massive amounts of venom. "Ghost enough," said Juwan, feeling the bloodlust rising in both of them. "We need to go." More aliens were approaching. Juwan could feel them through Ghost's senses. "Back to the ship," he ordered. They raced through the organic corridors, Ghost taking the lead. Behind them, the ship began to shake as the venom spread through its systems. They reached the entry point just as the ship started breaking apart. Juwan and Ghost jumped through the hole back into their own ship. "Go," shouted Juwan. "The whole thing is collapsing." Daho detached from the alien vessel and accelerated away. Through the window, they watched as the void swarm scout ship twisted and dissolved. "It worked," said Daho with amazement. The venom affected the entire ship. Juwan sat on the floor, breathing hard. Ghost pressed against him, both of them sharing the rush of the hunt. "Yes," said Juwan, his eyes still glowing like Ghost's. "But that was just one small scout. The real fleet will be much harder." "We have the proof we need," said Daho. "The spider wolves can hurt them." As they headed back to Station Omega, Juwan felt Ghost's thoughts in his mind. The spider wolf had tasted first blood, and he wanted more. The news of the successful mission spread quickly through Earth Command. Admiral Sungo watched the video footage from the stealth ship with wide eyes. "One spider wolf destroyed an entire scout ship," he said, turning to Daho. "How soon can we deploy more?" "Dr. Hana has 15 soldiers linked with spider wolves now," replied Daho. "But she warns against rushing. The bonds need time to strengthen." "Time is something we don't have," said the Admiral, pointing to the main screen showing Earth's defenses. The void swarm had reached the moon and destroyed most of the lunar bases. "We need to strike back now." Minji stepped forward with her tablet. I have modified the spider wolf venom into a weapon, she said. We can load it onto missiles. It won't be as effective as direct contact, but it could damage their ships. Do it, ordered the admiral, and prepare the spider wolf teams for combat. Our first target will be retaking the lunar colonies. In Station Omega, Juwan trained with Ghost in the large practice arena. 6 other soldiers and their spider wolves joined them. The creatures moved in perfect sync with their human partners, jumping, climbing, and attacking targets. Hana watched from above with concern on her face. She turned to Daho as he entered the observation room. They're not ready, she said. The neural links are still new. Pushing too hard could damage both the humans and the spider wolves. We don't have a choice, replied Daho. The admiral wants them deployed to the moon in 12 hours. The moon? That's a major voidswarm stronghold now. Hana shook her head. It's too dangerous. Below them, Juwan commanded Ghost to attack a moving target. The spider wolf leaped 20 feet into the air, landed on the target, and tore it apart with frightening speed. Look at Juwan, said Hana, pointing. His movements, his eyes. He's changing. Daho watched as Juwan moved with the same predatory grace as Ghost. Is he in control? For now, replied Hana. But combat is different. The spider wolves were created to hunt. In battle, their instincts will be stronger. Later, in the equipment room, soldiers were fitted with special gear designed for the spider wolf teams. Light armor that allowed movement, weapons that complemented their spider wolves' abilities, and communication devices that worked through the neural link. This gear will help you fight alongside your partners, explained the technician. The helmets have the same visual range as spider wolf eyes. Juwan picked up his helmet but set it aside. I don't need it. I see what Ghost sees. Daho noticed Juwan's eyes had changed. They now had a red tint like Ghost's, with enlarged pupils. In the command center, Admiral Sumgo briefed the team leaders. The Voidswarm has taken over our lunar mining station. We believe they're using it to build more ships. Your mission is to retake the station and place venom bombs at key points. Minji showed them a map of the station. The bombs must be placed here, here, and here, she said, pointing to 3 locations. That will spread the venom through their entire network. What about survivors? Asked one of the soldiers. Our scans show human life signs in this section, said Minji. Likely prisoners. Rescue them if possible. As the teams prepared to board their transport ships, Daho pulled Juwan aside. Are you sure you're okay? He asked. You seem different. Juwan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I'm better than okay. Ghost and I understand the enemy now. We know how to hurt them. Just remember the mission, said Daho. Place the bombs. Rescue survivors. Get out. Of course, replied Juwan. But through their link, Ghost had other ideas. The spider wolf wanted to hunt, to destroy the creatures that threatened his territory. And increasingly, Juwan wanted the same. The transport ships departed Station Omega, carrying the first spider wolf combat teams toward the moon. Inside one ship, 7 spider wolves sat with their human partners, all connected through their bonds, all feeling the same growing hunger for battle. Earth had unleashed its new weapon. The counterattack had begun. But as Hana watched the ships leave, she wondered if they had made a terrible mistake. The spider wolves were their creation, but no one truly controlled them, and war would only make them stronger. The lunar surface was quiet as the transport ships landed behind a ridge of tall rocks. Juwan was the first of exit, with Ghost moving silently beside him. 6 other teams followed, their spider wolves alert and eager. Mining station is 2 miles north, said Juwan through the comm. Stay low and follow our lead. The teams moved across the gray landscape, the spider wolves adapting easily to the low gravity. Their 8 legs allowed them to cross the difficult terrain faster than any human could alone. Through his neural link, Juwan felt Ghost's excitement. The spider wolf could sense the void swarm ahead, hundreds of them inside the mining station. "Command, this is Team Alpha," reported Juwan. "We count many more enemies than expected." "Proceed with caution," replied Daho from the command ship in orbit. "Remember, place the bombs and get out." The teams reached the edge of the mining complex. Once it had been a busy human operation with hundreds of workers. Now strange organic growths covered the metal buildings, pulsing with the same purple light they had seen on the scout ship. "They're changing it," whispered one soldier, "making it part of them." Juwan signaled to the teams to split up. 3 groups would place bombs at different locations. His team would search for survivors. As they entered the complex, the spider wolves moved ahead, sensing danger before it appeared. Ghost suddenly stopped, his body tense. Around the corner, 3 void swarm guards floated, their bodies larger than the ones on the scout ship. Without waiting for orders, Ghost attacked. He leaped onto the ceiling, then down onto the first guard. His fangs sank deep into the alien. The other spider wolves followed, taking down the remaining guards before they could signal an alarm. "Fast and quiet," reminded Juwan to the others. The bloodlust from Ghost was flowing into him, making it hard to focus on the mission. They moved deeper into the complex. The walls were warm and pulsed like a giant heart. Ghost led them to a large door that had been sealed with organic material. "Human sense beyond," said Juwan, sharing Ghost's senses. "The survivors are in there." They cut through the door. Inside were 20 humans in clear pods, connected to tubes and wires. They looked alive but unmoving. "What are they doing to them?" asked one soldier in horror. "Studying us," said Juwan, "learning how we work." They began freeing the prisoners, cutting them from the pods. As the last one was removed, alarms sounded throughout the complex. "They know we're here," said Juwan. "Team Beta, Team Gamma, report." "Bombs placed at Location 1, reported Team Beta. "Location 2 secure," said Team Gamma. "Moving to extract." Ghost suddenly howled, a sound that echoed through the metal corridors. The other spider wolves responded with their own calls. "What is it?" asked Daho through the comm. Juwan felt it through his link with Ghost. "They've released something new, something made to fight the spider wolves." Around them, the air grew thick with a strange mist. The spider wolves began to shake, their movements becoming slower. "It's a bioweapon," realized Juwan. "They're targeting the spider wolves." One of the spider wolves collapsed, its body convulsing. Its human partner screamed, feeling the pain through their link. "Get to the ships," ordered Juwan. "Now." They retreated, carrying the prisoners and their injured. 3 spider wolves and their partners were lost in the escape, overwhelmed by the void swarm's new weapon. Back on the command ship, Minji examined the surviving spider wolves. The void swarm created a toxin specifically designed to attack their genetic code, she explained. "They're adapting to our weapon." "Can you counter it?" asked Daho. "I need time," she replied. "Time we don't have," said the Admiral, entering the room. "The venom bombs worked. The lunar station is destroyed, but the void swarm main fleet is accelerating toward Earth. They'll arrive in 24 hours. Ghost lay on a medical table, his body fighting the alien toxin. Through their link, Juwan felt his partner's pain and anger. "We need to hit them harder," said Juwan, his eyes now fully red like Ghost's. "Find their command center. Cut off the head." "And how do we do that?" asked the Admiral. "Ghost can sense their network," said Juwan. "There's a central node, a main ship that controls the others. If we destroy it, the rest will fall." "Where is it?" asked Daho. Juwan closed his eyes, sharing Ghost's strange perception. "Hidden. Moving. But I can find it." The Admiral looked at Daho with concern. "Is he still in control?" Daho wasn't sure anymore. Juwan was changing more each day, but they needed him. They needed all the spider wolves. "Prepare a mission," ordered the Admiral. Find this central node. This is our last chance to save Earth. Minji worked through the night in her lab. Under her microscope, spider wolf cells fought against the void's worm toxin. She had extracted samples from Ghost, who seemed to resist the toxin better than the others. There, she said, adding a new compound to the sample. The cells began to recover. I think I have it. Daeho stood nearby, watching the main screen that showed Earth's final defense fleet taking position. The void's worm was visible now, a massive cloud of purple ships approaching the blue planet. How many spider wolves are still combat ready? He asked. 12, replied Hannah from her workstation, including Ghost. But I'm concerned about the handlers, especially Juwon. In the medical bay, Juwon sat beside Ghost, their minds linked as the spider wolf recovered. Through their connection, they shared memories and sensations, but the line between them was blurring. Is he ready for another mission? Asked the Admiral, entering the room. We both are, replied Juwon without turning. His voice had changed, deeper now, with a strange echo. We've located what we think is the central node, said the Admiral, showing a map on his tablet. It stays behind the main fleet, protected by escort ships. Ghost stood up from the medical table, his 8 legs moving with new strength. The spider wolf had grown larger since their first mission, his muscles more defined, his fangs longer. We'll lead the attack, said Juwon, standing beside his partner. The other teams will follow us. This is a reconnaissance mission only, said Daeho firmly. Find the node, confirm its purpose, plant tracking devices. No engagement. Juwon smiled, but there was something wrong with his expression. It looked too much like Ghost's hunting grin. Of course, he said. No engagement. Later, as the teams prepared to board their ships, Hannah pulled Daeho aside. The spider wolves are evolving, she said urgently. Faster than I expected. Each battle, each exposure to the void's worm, changes them. Is that dangerous? Asked Daeho. They're becoming more intelligent, more independent. And the neural links are growing stronger. Some handlers are losing themselves. Like Juwon. Hannah nodded. His brain patterns are merging with Ghost's. I'm not sure who's in control anymore. The spider-wolf teams launched in 5 small stealth ships. They slipped past the main void's worm fleet, using the cover of Earth's orbital debris. Juwon and Ghost led the way, guiding them toward what they sensed was the central node. Then they saw it, a massive ship unlike the others. Where the void's worm vessels were like dark stars with arms, this one was spherical, pulsing with bright energy at its core. That's it, said Juwon through the comm. The control center. Hold position, ordered Daeho from command. Just observe and place trackers. The ships moved closer, staying hidden behind debris. But as they approached, Ghost began to growl. The other spider wolves joined, all sensing something new. They know we're here, said Juwon. They're in my head. In Ghost's head. Pull back, ordered Daeho. Abort mission. But it was too late. The central node released a pulse of energy that washed over their ships. The spider wolves howled in pain, and through their links, the handlers screamed too. What's happening? Demanded the Admiral. They're attacking through the neural links, said Hannah, watching the readings from the handlers. Somehow they're using the connection against us. In his ship, Juwon fell to his knees. Images flooded his mind. Alien worlds, strange creatures, a vast plan spanning galaxies. He saw the truth. The void's worm, he gasped through the pain. They're not just aliens. They're a weapon, created by something else, something worse. Ghost broke free from his restraints and moved to Juwon, covering him protectively. The spider wolf's eyes glowed brighter than ever. And then Ghost did something unexpected. He placed a clawed limb on the ship's control panel and began operating it, his movements precise and intelligent. Ghost, said Juwon in shock. Through their link, he felt Ghost's response, not in words, but in clear thought. We must fight our way, not theirs. The spider wolf had just disobeyed a direct order, and Juan realized he agreed with him. On the command ship, alarms blared as Daho watched Juan's vessel break formation and accelerate directly toward the central node. "What is he doing?" demanded the admiral. "Making his own decision," said Hana quietly. "I warned you. We created something we can't control." The spider wolves had reached their breaking point. Now humanity would see what they were truly capable of. "All ships, stop Juan," ordered the admiral. "He's going to alert the entire Voidswarm fleet." But the other spider wolf teams did not respond. Instead, they followed Juwan's ship, forming a tight attack pattern as they raced toward the central node. On the command ship, Daho watched in disbelief. "What's happening?" "The spider wolves are communicating with each other," explained Hana, "through some kind of telepathic network we didn't know they had. They're acting as one now." "Can we shut down the neural links?" asked the admiral. Hana shook her head. "The links are too deep. Shutting them down would kill both the handlers and the spider wolves." Minji entered the command center with urgency. "I've completed the analysis of the central node. It's not just a control ship. It contains the genetic template for the entire Voidswarm." She showed them her findings on the main screen. "I've developed a bioweapon that targets this template. It could destroy the entire Voidswarm at once." "Get it to Juwan," said Daho. "If he's going to attack, he might as well have a weapon that works." Meanwhile, Juwan's ship approached the central node. Ghost stood beside him at the controls, both of them sharing one mind now. The other spider wolf teams followed close behind. "Juwan, do you copy?" Minji's voice came through the comm. "We're sending you a weapon. A bioweapon that will destroy the Voidswarm's genetic template." A data packet appeared on their screen. Ghost touched it with a clawed limb, absorbing the information through the ship's system directly into their shared mind. "We understand," thought Ghost. "We'll deliver it," replied Juwan, his voice now a strange blend of human and something else. The Voidswarm detected them. Defender ships moved to intercept, firing strange energy weapons that made space itself ripple and bend. The spider wolf ships scattered, moving with incredible coordination. They had fought together many times now, learning with each battle. They were no longer just soldiers following orders. They were a pack, hunting together. Juwan and Ghost's ship took heavy damage as they pushed through the defenders. Warning lights flashed around them. "They won't make it," said Daho, watching from the command ship. "They will," replied Hana quietly. "Watch." The spider wolf ships formed a new pattern. 4 of them surrounded Juwan's vessel, taking hits meant for him, sacrificing themselves to clear a path to the central node. Juwan's ship crashed into the outer hull of the massive alien vessel. Impact alarms blared as their ship's systems failed one by one. "Juwan, report," called Daho. "Are you alive?" There was no answer for several long seconds. Then, "We live,"